Hi everyone, it's Pake here. Today I'm bringing you our Winsmith video where I will show you a build and rotation for one of the strongest PvE combinations in the entire game, mixing up the Nameless Sword with the Nameless Spear. With this guide you'll be able to reach some of the highest ratings in your team during raids and also PvE encounters, so let's take a look at how this setup actually works. In this video I'll be covering your inner arts you have to use, your mystic arts, the rotation and also the gear. You will find the timestamps down below in the video bar, so let's jump in. So why is this combination so good? The Nameless Sword has extremely high damage thanks to its charge attacks, and with its inner art Sword Morph, you can fire multiple sword energy beams instead of only one, dealing massive damage. The problem of this is that it consumes a lot of stamina. That's where the Nameless Spear comes in. It has a skill that will restore your stamina and also reduce stamina consumption for a while, so it's perfect for the Nameless Sword. The flow is simple: do your strong charge attacks with the Nameless Sword when you're running low on stamina, use your Nameless Spear skill to regain stamina, and then keep up doing your charge attacks with the Nameless Sword. We'll be weaving Mystic Arts when we also need some more stamina regeneration. That's the main idea, but I'll show you the combo later, so let's start. So first of all we'll speak about the inner arts, because they actually change the way you play. The most important inner art is the one of the Nameless Sword, named Sword Morph. This inner art makes it so that while you have a key shield, your charge skill fires 3 beams instead of only 1. You get this key shield by using the Nameless Sword main skill. After the final 3 slashes you will gain a key shield for 3 seconds. During that time your charge skills will shoot 3 beams, and with correct timing you can land 2 triple beam charge skills during one shield window. Inside this weapon's inner arts there are 2 extremely important nodes. One is the first one and the other one is the fourth. The first node is easy to unlock with only 10 tickets, so I strongly recommend prioritizing it because it massively helps with this weapon's damage. The fourth one will take much longer, but also try to get it as soon as possible because both nodes are incredibly strong. The first node makes it so that when you use the sword's mobility skill, the backward slip that also consumes stamina, you gain a window of 5 seconds where your charge attacks will deal extra surge of energy. If you manage your stamina correctly, after the backward slip you can land up to 2 charge attacks. So basically you want to use your backward slip skill that consumes stamina and then fire 2 charge attacks to deal massive damage with those multiple beams. The fourth node is even better because when you fire one of these triple beam charge attacks, you have 5 seconds to fire another one, and then 5 seconds to fire another one, and so on. As long as you keep using a charge skill within 5 seconds of the previous one, you can keep this going indefinitely. It's incredibly powerful. Since this build consumes so much stamina, any inner art that reduces stamina cost is great. For example, Mountain Smite is the Nameless Spear inner art, increases the stamina cost reduction of your spear skill. As you unlock its nodes, this reduction becomes even stronger. So you use the spear skill to reduce stamina consumption, swap to the sword, fire charge skills, and you'll be spending less endurance than usual, which is great. And by the way, one tip about this spear skill is that you don't need to hit the enemy to activate the effect. You can even use it at a distance and start your rotations from here. The third inner art I recommend is Battle Anthem, which increases the damage of your charge skills. At first it only affects bosses, but as you unlock its nodes it also increases damage against players, and some nodes even reduce endurance consumption while using charge attacks. Perfect for this setup. Finally, I also recommend Moral Chant, because as you deal damage, you gain stacks that increase your power, it's easy to activate and maintain, and works well with any weapon. Now let's talk about Mystic Arts, since they're part of your rotation. I recommend using 4 of them. The first one is Cloud Steps, because it lets you close the gap at the start of a fight or chase enemies who run away. After that we have 3 damage Mystic Arts that everyone uses in China. The first one is Soaring Spin, a double spear strike. You pierce the enemy with the spear and then hit again. This Mystic Art is great because of the good damage it has in a low period of time. The second one is the Dragon's Breath. You drink to become intoxicated and breathe fire, dealing damage over time and applying ignition. It's great damage, and for 30 seconds you get a buff that lets you cast this skill again faster without needing to drink again. If you want, you can cancel the fire animation early with parry, but you'll understand later why sometimes you don't want to cancel it. The last one is Drunken Poet, where you drink and can unleash up to 5 rapid strikes. If you drank earlier when using Dragon's Breath, you don't drink again, so you attack even faster. Drunken Poet deals huge damage against enemies already affected by fire because you trigger additional explosions, so you burn them first with Dragon Breath and then use Drunken Poet and you'll melt their HP. Now let's talk about the rotation. The whole goal of this build is to fire as many triple beam charge attacks from Nameless Sword as possible in the shortest time. The problem is endurance. When you're low, you want to use your Mystic Arts to let it regenerate passively, or use the Spear skill to restore even more endurance and reduce consumption, and then you go back to charge attacks again. Let me explain the full rotation, assuming you have Sword Morph and the first note unlock, which is pretty basic to obtain, but without having the fourth note, which I'll explain later. First approach your enemy and use the Spear skill to reduce stamina consumption. Then switch to the Nameless Sword, use the backward sleep, and then fire 2 charge attacks with which throw 3 beams each. Then use the sword's main skill, the long multi-hit animation, which regenerates stamina while hitting. This also gives you the key shield, so now you can fire another triple beam. Usually you could manage to get 2 charge attacks during the key shield, but here you probably won't have enough stamina to do it, so you only do 1, and now you want to do Mystic Arts while recovering stamina slowly. The 2 sequences of Mystic Arts I recommend is either using Soaring Spin first and then Dragon's Breath, or use Dragon Breath first and then use Drunken Poet. After that we switch to the Spear again, use the Stamina skill, then swap to the Nameless Sword and restart the rotation. First use the backward sleep, then use charge attacks twice with 3 beams each. Then we want to use the sword skill that hits many times to get the key shield. Here we do another charge attack, we will run out of stamina, so now we want to do again our Mystic Arts, then swap to the Spear to do the stamina skill, swap to the Nameless Sword, and just keep going on infinitely. Now let's talk about some animation cancels and a few extra notes. The backward sleep from the Nameless Sword can be cancelled with parry to start your charge attack slightly earlier, but the timing is quite tight and the frame advantage is extremely small. If you mess up, you might even delay yourself instead. The same goes for Soaring Spin. You can cancel after the second hit with parry, but again you might lose time if you miss the timing. So if you really want to try hard, practice these cancel animations to win some frames, but really if you don't want to bother, just don't. Dragon Breath hits 2 times, you can cancel it after the first hit and you will win a lot of time. However, I usually use Dragon's Breath when I'm low on stamina, so waiting for the full animation is also fine because you will gain more endurance while you wait. As for the rest of the Spear attacks, do not use them, they're a DPS loss. You could use the Spear heavy skill to deal damage and then the charge attack to deal a ton of damage to enemies, but you will lose damage compared to the Nameless Sword, so it's not worth it. It has an earlier startup than the Sword charge attack, so it's not bad actually. Against small enemies you can melt them really fast, but against bosses in general I wouldn't use it. Now let's cover how the rotation changes when you unlock the 4th Sword Morph node. This node gives you 5 seconds to fire another triple beam charge attack and another 5 seconds later and so on. This means you can chain them endlessly as long as less than 5 seconds pass between each charge attack. So the way you play changes. At the start of the fight you just spam triple beam charge attacks until you run out of endurance. When you're empty, use a Spear skill or a Mystic Art to restore just enough stamina to fire another charge attack within that 5 seconds window. You repeat this cycle forever. So basically you weave in Spear skills or Mystic Arts to regain enough stamina to do the charge beam again before 5 seconds have passed, and that way you can do triple charge attacks indefinitely. Be careful however with the sword's main skill animation, because it's very long and it could take up more than 5 seconds. So you want to split it into 2 parts. First do the initial hits, then do the charge attack, and then do the final 3 hits and then do a charge attack again. Now onto the gear. Offensively I recommend the Hawking set that's commonly used with a strategic sword. With 2 pieces you get extra affinity, and with 4 pieces every time you trigger affinity you gain a Hawking stack that increases physical attack by 2% for 5 seconds, stacking up to 5 times for a total of 10%. Even though we don't have a lot of affinity in the game right now, we hit many times, so it's quite easy to maintain. Defensively I recommend the Form Bend set from the Nameless Sword. 2 pieces give physical defense, and 4 pieces increases your shield duration by 2 seconds, and also if you have more than 85% ki or you have a ki immunity shield, You also take 20% reduced HP damage, it's an amazing set and my top recommendation. The offensive bonus from Form Bent isn't bad actually compared to the Hawking, but Hawking is just better. However, if you pull boxes for the Form Bent set defensively, you can just use that weapons offensively too, they're just fine. And that's the video guys, I hope you enjoyed it and hope it was useful to you. If it was, please give it a like and I'll keep bringing you more PvP builds in the future. Take care and I'll see you in the next one.